This podcast is sponsored by the Center for International Business, Loyola University New Orleans College of Business.
Hello everyone, I'm Alessandro, and today we have the great pleasures of having Eric Belin, President of the French-American Chamber of Commerce Gulf Coast Chapter. Eric is also partner of Provosty and Grankenhoff law firm since 2003. Originally he's from France, from Lyon, from the beautiful city of Lyon. He was admitted to bar in Louisiana in 2001. He's licensed to practice before all Louisiana state courts, United States district courts for the Middle Eastern and Western districts of Louisiana, and the United States Courts of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. Eric is also an expert in different law topics like admiralty, complex litigations, product liability, environmental and toxic tort litigation, and antitrust law. Welcome to Gambo of Opportunities, the podcast where we dive deep into the landscape of international business with a closer look at the state of Louisiana and New Orleans. We will hear stories, insights, and strategies of influential global players of the Bayou region in a pursuit to make the Bayou one of the most attractive areas for businesses. This is Gambo of Opportunities. Hello everyone, and hello Eric. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
So, Eric, you're the president of the French-American Chamber of Commerce Gulf Coast chapter. So, our podcast is for targeting business students in general. So, if you have to explain them what is a Chamber of Commerce, what does a Chamber of Commerce does, and in particular, what is the main rule, the main activity that you do for the Chamber of Commerce?
No, certainly. Well, the French-American Chamber of Commerce does different things. And, you know, we have to adapt to the city and the state of Louisiana and our region, generally speaking. But our goal and our core business is to promote trades between the region, which covers the state of Louisiana, the state of Mississippi, and the Gulf Coast of Alabama and France. To do that, we have different ways to go about it. First, we can actually create events that connect different French companies to U.S. companies or vice versa. For instance, we have organized in the past some trade delegations going from mostly New Orleans to different regions of France. Or we have received French businesses and introduced them to local businesses. And that, you know, that's a great deal of fun to actually do that. Not only it's really helpful, but it's also a lot of fun. Part of our members, for instance, are like the Port of New Orleans or the airport or various companies in town. And we have, you know, sometimes some French companies that are asking us, hey, we're coming to New Orleans where we have this kind of product and we would like to get some meetings. Who should we meet? So, you know, one entity that I like to refer to because they're great from a business standpoint is G&O Inc., Michael Act, and, you know, the Port of New Orleans. So, you know, we take them, we introduce them, and then after that, you know, if they can get some contracts with local companies, then that's great, you know.
That's great. Oh, yes, I'm sure that is also a great fun. Like moving in and out from Louisiana to France, introduce people, creating the right connections for awesome business opportunities.
Correct.
Why France and why New Orleans? So we know that historically there has been a strong connection between France and Louisiana, in particular between France and New Orleans. A connection that over time and through the centuries influenced the city in many, many ways. Culturally, from the cuisine, which I love, And this connection we see also from architecture, for example, right? And we see still this strong connection even today. Now, how this strong link between France and New Orleans is able to kind of setting the tone of how the French-American Chamber of Commerce set its strategy, its strategic actions?
Well, I mean, first thing you said was why New Orleans, why France? Well, France, obviously, because I'm French. So, but New Orleans is, I came to the U.S. As an exchange student, not in New Orleans, but Texas Tech University originally, and but one of my friends, who's a law professor at Loyola, actually law school, said, "Hey, come to New Orleans and check it out." So I came here, and I totally fell in love with this city. And, it kind of reminded me of a real European city, or considering the architecture, more Caribbean. But it was vibrant. It was very culturally diverse. And, I just fell in love with it. Now, the French-American Chamber of Commerce, it's, I told you about what is our core business and what we try to do. For years, it was very difficult because, as we all know, businesses were kind of, especially after Katrina, leaving the city and kind of left the city in a hole. But fortunately for us, this is coming back, and this is where we can actually have, an impact. Now, French businesses are attracted to come here because of the past, because of oil and gas industries, because of the tourism industry. There are many reasons for that. When they, for instance, we had recently a company that came to New Orleans and asking us to introduce them to the Port of New Orleans and companies that could be interested in having their water streams cleaned up. And they have some drones that are coming, like in the Mississippi, or like, let's say, Bayou St. John, or wherever those polluting companies or potentially polluting companies are located. And there's always a stream of water, and those drones have the ability to actually clean it up. So we introduced them to the port and other companies, that could have benefited from their services, and I think it's worked out. I think they got some contract.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, the power of networking. How much?
Absolutely.
The ability of matching people with similar interest with similar objectives can lead to great achievements.
Absolutely. Now, historically, of course, we all know the history. The Louisiana, which was pretty much the entire Midwest going all the way to the state of Washington, it doesn't have the same footprint today. But the French is actually a big partner, a trade partner of the state of Louisiana. Maybe not the biggest, but it's a significant one. But also, too, culturally speaking, we all know the impact of, the French and Spanish culture here as well. But, also, too, the main impact that France still has today I would say, in the state is the language. There is not a whole lot of French citizens in the state of Louisiana. I think it's somewhere between 800 to about 1,200. However, there are so many French schools that are public. One is Audubon, le Lycée Français. We have the most public, which means free, francophone or full-fledged French schools in the nation. School like Audubon or Lycée Français, if you're in Dallas or Houston, you're going to pay at least, $25,000 a year to actually bring your kids to those schools. And those are excellent programs. Here it's free in New Orleans for the most part. So I think it's a huge asset for us to actually attract French businesses to actually come and invest in the region.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a great leverage for supporting the culture, supporting French businesses, keeping the connection even tighter than what's already is, right?
Absolutely. And New Orleans, has the public school that it has, but the French schools are great. And I'm not just saying that because I'm French, but several years ago, maybe a couple decades ago, they started this program that's between the French government and the state of Louisiana. It's called the Codefil, where the French government, or French Éducation Nationale, sends some teachers that they pay themselves to come teach in those schools in Louisiana, which is what allows those schools to actually be free of any tuition.
Oh, that's great. It's a great program and a great incentive for, making those schools successful and making those schools keeping up with all the competition that other schools may grant them here in the New Orleans region.
Right, and it's not just affecting French kids, but my son went to one of those schools, and none of his some of his friends were French or mixed couples, but a lot of his friends were just their parents didn't know a lick of French.
Yeah,
and by the time they graduated, they all were fluent.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. And you were mentioning about a specific element of the city of New Orleans. Now, I'm going to mention this. This episode will run in our program exactly during Mardi Gras, during actually the peak of Mardi Gras. So if you have to think about your activities in the French-American Chamber of Commerce and Mardi Gras, so is there something like an event you want to talk about in this episode that you think is connected with the way you are working and Mardi Gras, as a Mardi Gras season?
Well, thanks for that question. We actually, of course, Mardi Gras, the tradition is coming, I don't know exactly where, but between France, Italy, Spain, basically the Catholic part of Europe. And I don't know what you guys do in Italy, but in France, you just put some costume, and it's more like Halloween here than it is what Mardi Gras is here in New Orleans. It's not the same kind of carnival, even though some cities, like in the south of France, have it. But our participation in Mardi Gras is somewhat limited. It's such a huge event. You can't compete with that. Or our contribution to it is every year we have with the French-American Chamber of Commerce, and tonight actually at Alliance Française, we partner up and we're organizing a Galette des Rois membership event where we invite the old members and new members to come join us, renew their membership, and meet all the members for one evening, trying to enjoy Galette des Rois that is graciously provided to us by Jean-Luc Albin and Maurice French Pastry in Metairie.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I love Galette des Rois. And I also know, it's funny that you mentioned Maurice French Bakery, because actually I go there quite often to buy some cakes, to buy some Galette des Rois. And it's a very nice way to looking for members.
Yeah,
really taking a significant event that the city is offering and connecting to one of your main activity of the French-American Chamber of Commerce. So it's really like a win-win situation for you, as a win-win situation for all the businesses that are involved in this event.
Absolutely. And the French king cakes is usually limited in Europe. I don't know about if they do that in Italy, but in Europe and in France, it's that's the cake that you have on 12th night, which is the beginning of the Mardi Gras season.
No, yeah, we don't have king cake in Italy. No, we don't. In fact, once we start the season here, I like to try as many as I can. I mean, with some reason, with some limitation, of course. So thank you, Eric. So now let me ask you, doing business with New Orleans, with the businesses in the city of New Orleans in particular, if I have to ask you, what do you think are the main strengths of the city of New Orleans? As a city, as a place in which we have a specific entrepreneurial ecosystem of enterprises, of actors, what you would say that the main strengths are?
Well, I mean, the number one strength to me is the people. I mean, this city. I mean, the people are real in this city. There's, it's that's why it. I mean, I'm still here after over 20 years now.
Yeah.
But that's probably not the answer you want to hear. From a business standpoint, I mean, just look at the geographical location. I was meeting today for lunch a person who's used to be the general counsel for Air France and a few very big French companies. And, I was telling him what's not to like about New Orleans. You have, from a highway standpoint, we're located on I-10, which is the biggest highway in the country that goes from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast. Then we have the, south-north highway connection as well. And then you have the river and the port, which is about to expand.
Yes.
And become a lot bigger with cargo containers, with container cargoes. And that goes, takes, barges all the way up to the Mississippi River. I mean, geographically, if you're looking into like having a distribution, network, is there anything better in the country?
Yeah. No. And I also agree with you, again, not necessarily from a business standpoint, but also, to my opinion, the people are those who are making the New Orleans what New Orleans actually is. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you that maybe, even though, again, I'm also speaking business-wise, but the main strength of the city is really the people that makes the city that great in terms of connections, in terms of opportunities, in terms of really connecting people together. So, I agree with you absolutely with people, and of course, all the other strengths make a specific location a great place for having business. Absolutely. Yeah. And on the other hand, what eventually you would say can New Orleans do better? If there is something that New Orleans can do better.
Well, I mean, it's not just New Orleans. I think because New Orleans does things pretty well, I think. I mean, I don't know how long you've been in the city, but for me, I was here way before Katrina. And, I saw the city kind of like take go down the slope a little bit every year. And since Katrina, I think that this city has been tremendously renovated. A lot has been done to attract businesses. I was mentioning GNO Inc. has been a huge proponent, I think, in doing this. But I think, from a state standpoint, there needs probably to have a much, better symbiotic relationship between the state and maybe the city. There hasn't been, I think, even though things have changed recently, probably things were not great in trying to attract or keep businesses that were here. Yeah. And not just in New Orleans, I'm talking more about statewide.
Yeah.
But I think things have changed for the better, and things can get better still. The crime rate, I think, has gone down in the past couple of years.
Yes.
So that's definitely welcome.
Absolutely.
And that's something that businesses definitely look at before they want to send employees to live somewhere. So, I don't know if that makes any sense to you.
No, it makes a great deal of sense, actually.
But I think the infrastructure has gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
Neighborhoods have become more and more desirable. You see, like, when I first moved here, you would barely set foot in the warehouse district, much less in what we call
Central City? No.
Well, Central City, but also like where the Rouses and all those businesses are today.
Yeah.
The South Market.
South Market,
I think
yes.
that's how it's called. Those were neighborhoods you would never go in. 20, 30 years ago, and today, it's become really vibrant and.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And now, we know that we are in an era of great transformation from businesses. Businesses that face a huge deal of change and challenges. I'm talking about digital transformation. Now, for example, with all these pushes towards adoption of AI in business. I'm talking about businesses that are dealing with global challenges, businesses that now are responsible to set up, ESG framework to be accountable towards the stakeholders and shareholders about their environmental performance and so on. Economic uncertainty. How, in your experience, the French-American Chamber of Commerce is trying to help French businesses in trying to minimize those risks, those challenges?
Well, to be very honest with you, we're not really equipped to do this, at least not at the moment. We can assist in facilitating transitions and, let's say, it was a few years ago, we had a French video game application company that opened a studio over here. And, they had, maybe 20 employees that mostly coming from France. And so, we had a hosting committee and tried to get them integrated in the community. The AI thing is something that is kind of new. And I think AI at this point still is a misnomer. But yeah, I'm still learning how it applies in my law practice.
Yeah.
And what's ethical and what's not.
Yes.
And,
the same we are doing here at the College of Business. Absolutely.
So the French-American Chamber, we're a small entity. We have our strength, but this is not yet one of them, even though we hope that we can actually provide this kind of service, in the future.
Yeah, no, that's good. You do already a lot. Even though I'm thinking about creating the right connection can also already help businesses to navigate some of those issues. Connecting a French business with an IT partner, or helping a French business connecting with another company that, for example, already set up a ESG framework. Just thinking out loud, but I'm sure actually that you are too modest, and the French-American Chamber of Commerce does a great deal of work in already helping companies in facing today's challenges.
Well, we used to, and to be very honest with you, we were really impacted hard by COVID, because a lot of the things that we used to do were events, networking events, including one that was fairly big. There was the Fête des Fromages, which was a cheese festival that we did at the Louisiana State Museum, which is now the Jazz Museum.
Yeah.
But this was the kind of things we did. And after COVID, not having any money come in because we're not financed by anybody besides our members, and the events that we create, then this was not having any events and or money coming in kind of put a big dent in our finances for a few years. But we're on the back end of this now, and we're partnering up with the French American Chamber of Commerce, Texas, that has helped us restart and actually bring us more of an infrastructure to actually do more services and get to where you were talking about.
All right, so let me close now this great interview asking you like one final question. Our podcast targets specifically students, so my last question for you is about students, business students. So do you think there are possibilities for our students who might be interested to work, to collaborate with the French American Chamber of Commerce? Do you see there is possibility for them to get in contact with you, to get in contact with the Chamber of Commerce, to see if there are opportunities for them?
So we have for the first year, actually this year, and it's going to start in March, we have created it's not really what you would call internship, but it's a way to help mostly French students, I would have to say. But, if we have some room left, why not others? But, it's called l'atelier de l'emploi. And it would help like students work on their resumes. We have a director who's wonderful. His name is Hugo Baron. To assist students working on their resumes, specifically if it's a French company they are interested with, their French resumes, it can go both ways. And, it's going to be a series of 5 days spread throughout the month, where you're going to be working on everything that has to do with employment and how to connect with employers, whether here in the U.S. or in France.
Okay, no, that's great. That's a great program, and thank you for sharing it. And so, is there any specific background you're looking for, any specific set of skills from students you're looking for getting in contact with you?
Well, I mean, personally, I'm not an employer, so that depends of whoever wants to employ the students. I mean, of course, language is always a plus. Today it's hard to do without a second language.
Yeah.
If you're French or Italian, you have to learn English and maybe Spanish or German
and vice versa.
Exactly. Not all the French companies that I know here in Louisiana are looking for, to employ students, and they do employ quite a few students who speak French.
Yeah.
But I would say that's a big skill, and if you're looking long term or interested in working long term in this kind of companies, then learning or having being fluent in French, for example, definitely would allow you, I would think, to actually go further and higher in the company's ranks, because even those who don't speak French that I know, even though they understand it by now a little bit, they have to go to Paris all the time.
Yes.
And in big board meetings and things like that. So just talking about French companies, I think language is a skill that's very important.
That's great. And us from the Center for International Business, we also really sponsor the great advantage of having at least 2 fluent languages in our background for students, because we know how much is important to be multilingual today for navigating all the challenges that we have in jobs, opportunities, internationally and even locally. We don't have to necessarily to work abroad for having to know and to master 2 languages. Even working locally can be, can be like a great skill to have, like you just mentioned. So,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Eric, for your time with us.
Well, thank you for having me. That was fun.
It was fun. It's always fun to speak with people making great things here in New Orleans, and so I hope also that our listeners had now a much more clearer vision of what Chamber of Commerce does, what you as a French American Chamber of Commerce do every day for connecting enterprises, for connecting businesses locally and internationally. So thank you so much, Eric, for accepting to being here at Gumbo of Opportunities.
And if I can have one last message, over the years, to assist us in the events that we're doing, we always welcome students who are willing to volunteer and help us create some events and give us some ideas, and it's a valuable experience for them. They can make some meet some pretty high ranked officers in various big French companies, and for us, I mean, it's helpful. So if any Loyola students
That's perfect.
are interested in volunteering, we would welcome them.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Eric, and we will definitely share your message.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to Gumbo of Opportunities, the podcast about international business of Southern Louisiana and New Orleans. Huge thanks to Farah, Oban, and all the staff involved for making this podcast possible. The music is New Orleans jazz guitar music by The Music Hive.